Good morning, Appalachian Trail in Ramdino community. This is day 3 of year 2 of Shenandoah National Park. So we are started out today at where we left off yesterday at Hightop Trailhead and Charlie, Mike, and Nobo. And got a little earlier start today than we did yesterday. Gonna be doing an extra few miles, looking at about 16 today. It's temperature is about the same, a little chilly, but there's no wind, so that's very helpful with no wind. So we'll be coming out of these clothes here shortly. Let me flip this around for you. I know y'all tired of looking at me. There we go. All right, so one thing you just saw me just step over is the trail maintainers have not been through here in a while. I don't think it has anything to do with the park. Well, I mean, not part the government shutdown, because obviously they're not. Whoa. All right, we got a herd of deer. There we go. They got their flags up. Well, they didn't blow at me, so I didn't scare them too bad. Yep, they took off there. Anyway, so I don't think it has anything to do with the government shutdown, because they're just private volunteers, right? They don't have anything to do with the government. But they just hadn't been through here. This section is maintained by the PATC, the Potomac Appalachian Trail Club. So, you know, they maintain the trail. They have cabins that they own through here, and some and down south and up into PA and maybe further. I don't know. If you know, leave a comment down below. But they're a huge entity unto themselves, with lots of members, and of course they have other stuff than just the Appalachian Trail that they maintain, because most of their cabins are not anywhere near the AT rather. Now, we stayed in one year 1 up in Pennsylvania. Go back and check that out. It's pretty cool. It's like an old log cabin. It is an old log cabin. It's not like one, it is one that they've bought. Used to be some old homesteaders, I guess. And no water, no power, privy, ship's ladder, staircase basically upstairs to the sleeping area, and they have some bunks, but they do have mattresses, but that's about it. So they're not manned or anything like that. You have to get them online. We tried to get one for this trip. I tried to get several so that we'd already be here in the park, but they were all full, so we weren't able to do that. And they have fireplaces for heat and stuff like that. But anyhow, where we stayed was Valley View Hotel. Well, I'm gonna tell you all about that. It's a trip. I'll tell you about that here in a few. All right, let me heading on downhill, and we'll get back to you in a bit. All right, we're coming into Swift Run Gap. So this is where, I think there's 3 places where the trail crosses over the road. I need to figure out, hang on a minute, I need to figure out where the heck the trail is. The way that I'm walking on, that's Highway 33 down there at Swift Run Gap. So made it here. Pretty good time, I think. Diana, I need to set my watch to hike mode. Haven't done that yet. Let me get across this traffic here. Yeah, let me get across all this traffic. There's nobody on the parkway still. And when we came through the entrance today, I was expecting, we brought both cars because we're going to be moving up north to Luray, leaving the hotel efficiency or whatever you want to call it where we were. And looks like they would have some cotton picking blazes or something around here. I think it's right up here. Yeah, those are those concrete posts are it, but I'm surprised they don't put blazes here. But anyway, we came through the entrance down there, and today they're supposed to be open. Supposed to be employees manning the gate. Supposed to be people there taking money or waving me through with my veterans pass, but there was nobody there. We stopped and it said cashless entrance only. I found that curious. So now to get in that entrance, I don't know if it's like that at all the entrances, because the one we came through before at over at Waynesboro, the park was open, but there were no rangers. That was during the shutdown, so there's nobody there to take money. But now with cashless, if you don't have a credit card, you're SOL. We'll continue this later. I need to break out my poles. All right, back to our discussion about being SOL. So, by the way, I figured out my watch, or I got partial figured out. So the kids bought me a watch. I'll tell you about that in a minute. Well, hey, let me just finish my train of thought from the SOL. So if you don't have, like I said, if you don't have credit card, you can't get in the national park here through that entrance. I don't know if it's like that at all the entrances or even all the national parks. Somebody let me know if you know that. But so some people don't want to have a credit card. My daughter's being one of them. Now she does have a debit card, so I suppose a debit card would work, but some people don't have that. They don't want to be tracked, but they dang sure want to come and enjoy some of the public lands. You shouldn't have to have a credit card or a debit card, or even be on the grid for that matter. Just enjoy the public lands. So, a little disenchanted with that. I'm not a no government person, but I'm certainly not a big government person. And I don't know, crazy. Don't need to get into a big political discussion about it for sure. It's not what we're about here, so just don't go there. But that's just the fact, so I wanted to share that with you. And it's a fact I'm going uphill again. And it's a fact that the uphills are on the Appalachian Trail. So if you want to hike somewhere they don't have uphills, go to the Florida Trail. And I'm just assuming they don't have uphills. I might be wrong. Let me know below in the comments if you've hiked the trail, and Florida Trail, and can tell me if it's flat as a flitter. All right, let me get my poles out. So I wanted to show you something here. I think that's bobcat. See all the hair in it? I think that's bobcat furball yak up. So that looks just like my cats after they've cleaned themselves for a while, hacking up a hairball. I don't know, I hadn't seen many cats on the trail. There was one guy that hiked with one, Smokey, the trail cat. And I hadn't seen cats out here. A few dogs, no cats. So I'm assuming that cats, bobcats, whatever kind of cat, they lick themselves to clean themselves too, and it gets in their gut, and eventually they gotta hack it up. Interesting. And by the looks of that, it was a gray bobcat. I wonder if the colon, or I guess it don't go to the colon, I guess it stays in the stomach. I wonder if that absorbs the pigment, say if it was a yellow bobcat. Any biologists out there, chime in. I think I got geologists, doctors, retired folk, retired doctors, retired biologists, retired geologists. Let me know. All right, we're coming up on, oh yeah, we're still going uphill. Hadn't showed you this yet. You've probably seen them, but here in Shenandoah, they don't have wooden signs. They have these concrete posts. And the concrete posts have, etched into them, or however they make that. And it just gives you mileage and everything, and tells you which way the Appalachian Trail is. All that neat stuff. Some of them actually have mileage as far as where you are on the trail, but You know, most people have gut hooks now. They don't need that. And this trail so far has been through here, has been fairly well blazed. There's a couple spots I was like, where am I going? But that didn't happen. Of course, you just saw that back there. I came through Swift Gap. All right. The animal is nowhere to be seen. He trucked on past me. Thought I might catch him when he came out of his layers, but he might be waiting until he gets to the top. All right, chat with you in a bit. So today, supposed to be get around 67. We'll see if it gets there. The sun, finally, it hadn't really come out. It's just not as bad as it was at one time as far as being in the clouds, but it's obviously very overcast. So it's going to have to get out of them clouds and hurry if it's going to get to 67. I don't know if I said it to you. I might have said it on a different day in this series, but I don't think I said it. I know I hadn't said it today, so if you hadn't watched the other ones, I encourage you to do so. But if you don't, I did want to mention that through the Shanties is a very dry section, particularly now. So I've come across, since I got back on, we've come across one legitimate stream, and that was Ivy Creek. We did when we got up to what was it, Blacktop Summit. There's a cistern up there, so it's, you know, an old concrete formed cistern, but it's decades old and it's right at a spring, and that tells me there was probably a fire tower up there at one point. I am going to see if I can do some research and get a screenshot of that for you. If you do, it'll be here. If I don't, then I couldn't find it. But so that's usually where there was a fire tower there, and then a fire warden's cabin, and he would come down and to the cistern and get his water. So, you know, no power, no running water, nothing like that up to the fire warden's cabin. And let me see. Oh, here's one that's got the AT on it. Last one didn't. Let me see if I can see if make sure I'm supposed to turn left here. Nope, didn't tell me. About here, yep, right there's the era. Appalachian Trail. It says north that way. That's disconcerting. I'm supposed to be going north now. That is interesting. I'm not going the wrong direction. Anyway, I see a blaze down there, so I'm good. I don't have to check far out. And I am heading north, so that's odd. I need to go back and check that out and do a screenshot of that, because the arrow looked like it was pointing north, back towards the south. Anyway, fire warden's cabin. So the tower, he'd come down to the tower at night. He had a, probably oil or something like that, firewood, oil lamp, and logbook, and he'd have to go get him water. Probably no toilet, and I bet he didn't dig a pit. He probably just did otherwise. Anyway, we don't need to go there. So I was talking about the water. So there's very few water sources. Now, if you come through the summer, when you go past these campgrounds, I'm sure they have water, and you can go get waters at the waysides and stuff. But when they close, there's, they shut those systems down and drain them for the winter. So, there's not much out here in the backcountry so far that I have seen. Like I said, that one, and then that cistern on top. And that's it so far. Now, because it's not so hot, I'm not drinking a lot of water. Not using my element near as much as I was, or I typically would in the summer. So 2 liters has been doing me for, a 15-mile hike, whereas I would probably went through about 8 liters in that amount of time, or certainly 6, and numerous packets of element. So I like it. You don't have to carry as much, and toward the end of the day, when you're gotten most of your water drunk, then your pack weight goes down substantially. because all I've got is my layers, snacks, 2 bottles of water, and the 2 liters of water are the heaviest by far what's in my pack. So it's nice to get those down. All right, continuing north, I think. I'll let you know when I figure that out. I'm positive I'm going north. I don't know why that bands. Here's another one up here. I'll check it out. See you in a bit. So these are the times I like coming around the trail and boom, you got a nice view. Particularly this time of year, see, this view would be non-existent if the trees were out. Yep. Ooh, this is a nice down through this rock garden. Sweet. Goes around and around and around and around. Keeps on going. All right. This is the Pocosin or Pocosin, or I don't know how you pronounce it. Pocosin would mean little sin in Spanish, right? But I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's spelled Pocosin. But this is, we tried to reserve this, and they claimed it was not open. I don't see anybody's been here in forever. So I don't know about that, but it's got an outside fireplace here. Just stir these coals, see if they're fresh. No, none of that's fresh. So I don't know when somebody's been here. Of course they lock them up so you can't get in. But it's got a really neat view here. Particularly this time of year. Looks like it's got a privy, a bear box, some other box. And I don't know if they open this up for horses or not, but anyway, it's a neat little spot. Looks like they keep this groomed so that you've got a view. And then that's actually a trail road. I don't know if they allow horses in here or not, but that road right there comes up here and then goes around there, keeps on going up that way towards AT, and it comes back in here. So anyway, this is their PATC's cabin. So pretty neat to come back in here for an overnight or a couple nights, what have you. So the cabin back there was pretty much the halfway point. I'm by that by about a mile. So we got about 8 miles left in the day of 16. So far, been a gorgeous day. Remember earlier I told you, for y'all was just minutes ago, I told you about, wondering if it was going to get to 57. If I said 67, I was wrong. I think it's the highest supposed to be 57 here, but if I told you it's going to have to burn off and hustle to get there, I was wrong. I don't think we're still at 57. I think we're still in the low 40s, but obviously the clouds are gone, and what a bluebird day I'm having now. So absolutely best hiking weather, and this is the best I have felt while hiking. Now, of course, we're slack packing, so we're not carrying all that weight we typically would, and that helps. That helps my joints and feet not to hurt halfway through the day. And that makes it all that much more enjoyable. The terrain here is, none of it is like ridiculous. Like, to begin with, the treadway is awesome. If you've watched my Pennsylvania hikes, you'll know that was pretty miserable treadway for a lot of it, particularly the second year. But yeah, this is awesome. A lot of times you're actually walking on dirt. Matter of fact, you're walking on dirt more times than rock. So that's been good. The elevations and gains and descents and ascents, none of those have been bad. And it's just been a really good hike so far. So we're just into day 3, but tomorrow's day 4, and that'll be our lassie day. If you're my generation, remember Lassie. You call it Lassie because she would go up to little Timmy and go, Timmy, take me home. Timmy, I want to go. I mean, she'd go, Timmy. I think Timmy was the little boy's name. Anyways, Lassie, take me home. Lassie, take me home. So tomorrow I'll be going home after hiking all day. I got about a 5 or 6, I'll have to look at it, since we've hiked about 60 miles north. Probably got a 6-hour ride in front of me. No biggie. All right, as usual, I'm going up. Gotta use my poles. So I came up on a sign, like a nice metal sign on a metal post back there that said no camping next, said next half mile, or maybe it was half mile within a built up camping area. So I'm coming up on, I think it's Lewis Mountain Campground. I don't know what services they have here, but it's a designated campground, you know, for people coming into the park. And they don't let you camp, backcountry camp. I think it's within a half mile, so that would mean the trail is closed to camping, or the woods are closed to camping, a half mile on each side. So that'd be a mile through here where you can't camp. But that made me think, there is very few places around here to camp. Certainly no places I've seen around water, because there ain't even water to get for yourself to carry. The camel up and carry. The spring back there at Pocosin cabin was dry. There was nothing coming out of it, which surprised me because I thought they'd had some rain up there. But I haven't seen, very few stealth sites that where you could just flop off side of the trail like most of the trail, or like a lot of sections anyhow, but not through the Shanny so far. And the place I've seen where somebody was camping wasn't a level spot in there, so somebody's gonna wind up in a ball at the bottom of their campsite that night. I guarantee you that. If you're in a tent, hammock of course is different. I don't know what the ratio of hammockers is. It's probably 15 to 20% people there in a hammock, maybe more than that. If you're a hammocker out there, let me know what you think it is, but that's kind of what I thought. So it's more than just, over yonder it is. If you can see through the woods, there's campers, and it's definitely built up. Hard-sided stuff. There's a bear box over there. Yeah. So if I needed water, I guess I could go in there. But I don't need it. There's a privy over there, but I don't need that either. So the trail skirts this for a little ways. But, oh, there's a lot. There's somebody car camping down here. There's a lot of campsites over there. All right, let me continue on down. We're getting ready to climb up that heathen right there. Before I do, I want to mention met 2 subscribers on the trail, Sparks and Blaze, and it's nice to see them. Nice to meet them. And did the usual photo stop of them, chit-chatted, and came on. So Sparks and Blaze, if you watch this, send me that picture. I neglected to get a picture myself of us together. So we are 5.4 from our terminus for the day, and we got 2 mountains to go before I get there. So it's not gonna let me go easy. All right, let's go for the climb. So I was gonna show you a rub line. So that is a deer rub, and that's from this year. So could be a big one, could be a small one, but that's from this year. rubbing all around it. And then this is from last year where he's rubbed it and it's healed over. So probably, maybe the same deer, probably a different deer, because they usually rub the same thing, same trees again. And they're usually in a line. So I'm not seeing the continuation of this somewhere. He may have, I can't tell if that's an old one right there that's healed over or not. He may have, maybe just came over here and, oh, there's one right there. Maybe just came over here to take out some frustrations during the rut. But that's when they rub, is during the rut. But I wanted to show that to you because I promised you, I think it was yesterday, the previous video. All right, we are over that, the mountain I said that I showed you I had to climb. I'm over that, heading down. I got to cross, I think I got to cross one more time before I do one more up for the day. I did not do the bypass trail that goes up that way, and there's goes actually summits, and it's like a rock scramble up there. And one of the comments was, if you don't feel like getting bruised and your knees bloodied, probably need to just take the AT. Well, that's all I needed. I wasn't planning on taking that anyway because it'd take me off the actual AT. I was curious if they didn't take it up and over that, because typically they want to take you over the hardest crap and the highest crap, but they didn't. So, and it could be that it once went up there and then they made a bad weather bypass, and the bad weather bypasses, you know, got you away from freezing conditions on rock, and then that eventually just became the actual designated path, designated treadway. Who knows? All right, one more hill. That doesn't look like that big a hill. I'm already up at elevation pretty decently, so that doesn't look that bad. That was about 900 feet I climbed back there. So for the day, I've climbed 3,024 feet in 10.89 miles in 4 hours and 22 minutes. So we're doing pretty good, and getting close to, when we get done with that one, it'll be all downhill to the northern terminus for the day. Chat with you in a bit. All right, so I just crossed over the wooded summit of Hightop Mountain. So there's nothing to see up here. I mean, you can see that, which is gorgeous, but just through the trees. But there's nothing at the top, no summit, nothing like that. So this is it's gonna be it for the day. I'm about I think it said 1.8, maybe 1.4 miles back to the car, ending our day. It's all downhill from here. Yeah. So if I see something that's neat, I will certainly let y'all know. But according to my phone, I've only got an hour's worth of recording time left, so I better save it for tomorrow. Folks, that is all I've got for today. As always, appreciate you, and we hope to see you out here.